Roadkill. It's Freiberger versus Finnegan in a muscle car shootout. Now, normally you'd expect us to be driving junk, but I hope you don't feel that way this time because they're both my cars. I'll be in my Super Bee, he'll be in the Crusher Camaro. We're gonna roll him from LA to Salt Lake City to see which one survives, and then drag race him in a quarter mile. And the good news is, I can't lose because they're both my cars. Hey.
Are you ready for your ass whooping?
What am I ready for?
Your ass whooping. You're going down. 3,488 pounds. What does yours weigh?
3850. What is that? 362 pounds.
It's Thursday morning. Just got done scaling the Crusher Camaro to find out how heavy it is. Gonna make some last minute adjustments because this car hasn't run in a while. And in fact, the Super Bee and the Crusher have never really run at the same time, nor have they run against each other. So this is kind of an epic trip for us.
There's a lot of history in both of these cars, not only for Hot Rod Magazine, but with me personally. The Super Bee is a 70 model, and it's actually my very first car. I've had it for 30 years. When I was 15 years old, I paid $1,800 for it. The engine in the Super Bee is a 484 cubic inch Hemi, which is based on the 426. On the dyno, this thing made 675 horsepower, but by the time I got it in the car with smaller headers and a full exhaust system and a mechanical fan and all this other kind of stuff, I'm thinking it's delivering like 600. The Crusher Camaro is a 67 model that has been with the magazine since about 1994. At the time, the gas companies in California had scammed the government into this program where they were collecting old cars and they were crushing them for smog credits that allowed them to put out more pollution from their offshore refineries. So I remember going down to a junkyard and I spotted this 67 Camaro and I thought, no way is this guy handing that car in to get squeezed. I ended up paying $700. The engine in the Crusher right now is a 489 cubic inch big block Chevy. But the big deal is the belt-driven intake manifold, the Wyand 871 supercharger topped by two 850 Holley carbs. Pushing like 5 pounds of boost through this thing, it makes a brutal torque curve and 700 horsepower.
Both of these cars have electric fuel pumps. And when you wire them normally, they run all the time, wide open. That heats the fuel up in a fuel cell. And when you've got a fuel cell this small and it's a 100-degree day out, you don't want hot fuel in here. So we're putting fuel pump controllers in both cars that'll slow the pumps down at idle, keep from heating the fuel up. It'll make the pump live longer, keep the thing from vapor locking, all good.
In theory.
Theory? So we break down on the side of the road today.
So you'll notice I'm already ahead of you.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Besides, all the chicks care about is who's got the bigger engine. That would be me. Get out of the way, Escalade. There's a whole lot of awesome coming through right now.
Oh, the meter's on.
It's like a Christmas tree.
There's no question Finnegan's gonna boil the hides away from the meter.
Whole shot. So we're about to embark on a journey in cars that are about 50 years old with no air conditioning, no electronic fuel injection. But driving an old hot rod, that's like pizza and sex. Even when it's bad, it's still good. And let's see, we've gone less than a mile and we're about to test the cooling system out in the car.
LA traffic in a big way. I'm guessing the Crusher's still at 160 degrees.
171.
I just crested 180.
Yeah, we maybe have to take the hood off your car at some point.
This is where those fuel controllers are a really big deal.
This is really weird because I've got a seat belt, a side mirror, and 4.5 gauges that work.
Now, if you're really sitting down, wait for it, registration and insurance.
On both cars?
Why, yes.
Wow, you've gone pro. We're fully legal.
So when you rear end the Super Bee with the Crusher, I'll just have my insurance company pay itself to fix it. Okay, I hit 200.
At about 188 degrees here.
No hood works.
No hood for the win.
Okay, 220. We should probably get off.
I will follow you.
Hemi, not known for running cool or getting good mileage. I got up to 220 at one point in that traffic, but that was after 45 minutes of sitting. So I'm gonna say it wasn't that bad. Get rolling and it comes right down to 180, but what's really funny is that I got 7 miles to the gallon. Proud of that number.
Probably getting worse than that today because I'm taking every available inch of the highway and doing burnouts. I think that means it's done. Nobody light a match.
Well, Finnegan got 6, so once again he did win. But he continues to gloat about my car being superior to my car. And I don't think he gets that. Well, it's 11 o'clock. We've made it to Barstow, which is roughly a 2-hour drive that we've accomplished in, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Have we really been on the road 7 hours?
Yeah, we're right on time.
Yeah. The socket is worn out on the taillight and isn't grounding. And so he sometimes has running lights, sometimes not, sometimes brake lights, sometimes not. It's kind of like a disco. What he's trying to do is make a wedge so that when the socket goes into its hole, that these tabs will keep in ground with this thing. Problem is the socket goes in and then dangles around freely and doesn't ground.
What if we install it halfway and just tape it together?
I'm good with that. This here is why we can't have nice things. Only I have the skills to make the bulb light with no ground. Until, ready? Ta-da!
All right. Still on?
If we were here any longer, we would have to pay rent.
I survived the slam test.
Ready?
Yeah.
I would have paid $10 to see one of those lights go out when you did that. Yeah, 12 hours to get to Las Vegas. Should be a 5-hour drive. We're gonna go cruise the strip a little bit, listen to some bums scream at each other, maybe score some meth.
I got you something because you're in Vegas.
Oh, okay. Perfection. Maybe get ourselves a friend for the night and see if we can find a hotel that will park the cars right out front so they don't get jacked with overnight. And then we're gonna sleep for 45 minutes and hit the road again in the morning because it's supposed to be 6 hours to Salt Lake City, which for us means 12. Vegas, baby. The Super Bee will never, ever top the Crusher for the ability to just blaze tires at will.
I think you just need to try harder is all.
It's so realistic, I feel like I'm actually in New York right now.
The cab drivers in Vegas are every bit as salty and crazy as the ones in New York.
Now it is Friday at 1:30. We got into Vegas at 5:30 in the morning last night and we had to sleep this morning because now we have 9.5 hours to drive to Salt Lake City where we're gonna attend the midnight drags at Rocky Mountain Raceway and they open at 11 p.m.
It's 104 freaking degrees in the desert right now. Roadkill. I'm gonna need it. Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks.
You know it's bad when the homeless guy wishes you good luck after he takes one look at your automobile.
I'm glad that I have the vinyl seats here so that the sweat just sort of pools around my butt.
Yeah, I got Yeti sweat now. Soon it'll be swamp ass.
This is really like when Fat Elvis had his comeback at the Las Vegas Hilton and he was on stage doing the karate chop moves. I'm thinking the level of sweat down his back was about similar to what I have right now.
Not to just kick you in the nuts with the whole age thing again, but I don't believe I was alive when Fat Elvis was doing the karate chop you speak of. That's a little better. Oh, that's still hot. I now understand why pimps in the desert favor white upholstery. They just gotta stay cool.
Oh, this isn't good. Remember, we put those fuel pump controllers on these cars because we knew it was gonna be hot like this. It's 107 here right now. I'm actually having a fuel boiling problem. It's like percolating. You can feel it when you're driving down the road. It sort of surges sometimes, and the carburetor is so hot you can't even begin to touch it. On day 2, the heat was even worse, but we kept moving pretty fast on the highway, which solved the overheating problems for the radiator. The poor fuel pump was suffering so bad in the heat that it started to groan and the car was actually surging from fuel starvation on the highway. If I lift and let it fill the fuel bowls, I can drive it normally for quite a while, and then it starts to stumble, and then I lift, and then I'll drive normal again.
Yeah.
And it sounds bad. You hear how loud it is?
It's overheating. I'd say let's buy like 10 bags of ice for the trunk to get around the fuel cell, and then prop it up with towels and bungee cord the trunk shut, let it cool off, and hit the road again.
Right. Hopefully there's drain holes in here somewhere.
Here, where we can make a kegerator out of the Super Bee. All right, 5 more ought to do it. That's what you get for building a drag car and pretending it's a street car.
Well, but this is actually not really a drag car. It's neither fast nor streetable.
You put the gas tank and the fuel pump inside the vehicle. Not a street car anymore.
Is that what it says? I think this is going to fix it. Finnegan's argument is that it's a tuning problem. I think that this alone is going to solve it, so we'll find out what happens.
$100 for ice. What the hell? That's going to be fun to expense.
I realize that an added benefit to the ice in the trunk is that it's helping eliminate that stink bug stance.
It's a twofer. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Actually, that's a 3-way, because it's also keeping the beer cold.
It's 9:09. We want to be there in 51 minutes. And I think we're about 2 hours away, but we've been booking 80 miles an hour, right up to the point where we ran out of gas in the Crusher within sight of the gas station. And also, you know, did you realize we lost an hour? We didn't take that into consideration. This is Utah. It's mountain time.
Oh, man.
Drive faster.
Beer in a bag, polygamy, lost an hour? I don't want to be here.
After more than 20 hours of driving, we finally made it to Rocky Mountain Raceway at midnight. We were blown away when we got there about how many cars were there. They usually have to cut them off at 200 cars, and there was a ton of people in the grandstands. Stuff like this just does not happen in California anymore. It's like 1 o'clock right now. They close at 2, and the people here are super cool, but there's a limit to what they're gonna let us do.
We're trying to do some road trip maintenance, new spark plugs. Sooty. She's not exactly tuned for highway driving.
We wish we'd arrived at like 9 o'clock so that we could truly be ready for this. But as usual, we're jamming at the last second to get in as many runs as we can.
We got 30 minutes left to get this done. I gotta rejet Dave's carburetor. I have a bad feeling he's not gonna get to make a nitrous pass.
Are you standing here waiting for us? Oh, I know. Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
The people at Rocky Mountain Raceway were super cool, and they held the lanes open longer than they really should have as we were thrashing on these cars to get passes in. But finally they were both ready, and Finnegan hopped in the Crusher and took off out to the starting line. And that's when the Super Bee wouldn't fire up. I opened the hood and found out that the secondary float ball on the carburetor was just a geyser of gasoline.
He was right behind me. I don't know what he's doing. Something must be wrong with the car.
These are jet extensions right here for when the fuel's sloshing towards the back of the bowl. You can see the witness mark where they were crushed and holding the float down. That wasn't good.
All right, well, Dave has pretty much burned up all of our time. So now I think we're down to one pass.
Just run him. I'm 50-50. This is probably not going to happen at all.
Drag that Freiberger and I didn't get to race. And honestly, totally my fault. As I was slamming the carburetor back together, the float in the float bowl actually got stuck on the jet extensions and sunk it. You gotta have a love-hate relationship with automobiles, especially old ones. As much fun as we had driving all the way here, you get right to that last minute, right to the mountaintop, and get gut punched. That's what Dave got.
It was a big letdown to just be sitting there in the pits. The Crusher went out there and ran an 11:19 at like 120 something miles an hour. Also kind of a disappointment. That car is proven to run 1060s at Fontana, but the problem is there was 6,000 feet of density altitude at the drag strip that night, reducing the boost from the blower, which just kills horsepower. Repair and maintenance prohibited in the parking lot, but it doesn't say Roadkill on it, so my thought is it doesn't apply to us.
More of a guideline than a rule, right?
I can't deny I was really depressed at not being able to get the Super Bee down the track. We needed to turn it around, make it another 700 miles home, and find some way to put a capper on this trip. After a little bit of burnout mayhem to sort of relieve the pressure, we came up with a scheme. When we're done with this show, 2 days later we've got to leave for the Bonneville Salt Flats to go race our Camaro. And the problem is, we didn't have a truck to haul the thing up there. As a matter of fact, the car isn't even together. We'd found this really cool ramp truck before we left, but didn't have time to go buy it. And so we decided on the tail end of this trip we were going to haul down to San Diego, California and pick it up.
Everything's going great. Get into Nevada, cruising down a big mountain. All of a sudden I hear, psst, boom, blow a tire. I immediately have flashbacks of the Gremlin all over again, except this time I don't crash. Pull over, tire actually came off the rim. So this time we're smart. We brought spare wheels with us, but we weren't smart enough to bring lug nuts that actually fit these spare wheels. So I've robbed washers off of all the other wheels on this car, and I'm now spacing the lug nuts because they're too long with Craftsman wrenches. That's right, folks. 11/16 and 3/4 inch Shorty Craftsman wrenches. And we only have 3. This is what's going to be holding this wheel on as I limp down the road 10 miles to a hotel because I'm going to go to bed. I'm done. Roadkill. It's beer time.
This thing is mint.
Well, I can tell already this is one of our better purchases.
Oh, this is way too good for us. I think it's got 56,000 original miles on it.
It's got the good front end on it.
It's a 73.
Yeah, see, it doesn't have the flat front of the later models. This is cool.
And it doesn't have drip rails. It doesn't have shoulder belts. I seriously think 56,000 could be legit.
No more trailers.
You know what else that means? No more 55 miles an hour in California.
Will it go over 55?
Oh, that I don't know. Probably not.
It's got a winch.
Oh, it has a winch, the air
Two
conditioning
gas
works,
tanks.
the stereo works, it has the FM radio communication for Baja.
Wait, a stereo? Wow. How much was this?
$3,500.
We've spent more than that on a lot worse.
Oh no, this is a huge score. Let's see if it'll run though. I have to admit it did have a dead battery. Something had to be wrong with it.
You want to? Yes. That's a big block, 454.
Factory 454,
With
yep.
air conditioning and 2 batteries.
Do you want to put the Crusher on the truck?
We could. We could just test it out now.
As a roadkill trip goes, this really wasn't that much of a fiasco. Yeah, we kind of failed at the drag strip, but we did drive 2 of my cars 1,500 miles by the time we were done, and that's a pretty big deal, especially when you're looking at stuff that has this kind of horsepower and that hasn't been on the road that much for a long time. As it turns out, this ramp truck is way too good for us. Having said that, the junk's probably gonna blow up halfway to the salt flats, and you'll see more of that on the next episode of Roadkill.